Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 530 News on KAJ, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Ariana Lake. Kalispell leaders celebrate the recent growth and development of the Flathead Valley, but remain cautious about building up the area too quickly. MTN's Jack Ginsburg brings us more details from the Kalispell Chamber of Commerce's biannual construction update.
The Chamber's event highlighted the tremendous amount of construction happening across the Flathead Valley in commercial, residential, and community-driven areas. Over 20 major projects were highlighted in detail to explain the current and future construction plans set in place over the next 2 years.
A lot of it just kind of happens without people knowing, and this gives everybody an opportunity to kind of be involved at some point, whether they are thinking about building or developing or investing. It gives them an opportunity to kind of see what's exactly going on throughout the valley.
From the new Children's Medical Center at Kalispell Regional Medical Center to the Glacier Rail Park, all of these construction projects fall under the billion-dollar tour.
Now, essentially what the billion-dollar tour is a culmination of construction happening in hospitality, healthcare, education, community, industrial, residential, retail, and restaurant industries over the next couple of years.
Although there is an insane amount of growth and construction going on throughout the entire Flathead Valley, the community is conscious of the risk of building and developing too much too quickly.
Sometimes there's some great agricultural land that gets sucked up into development, but I think as a community we're doing a good job on infill, urban infill, which helps lessen that burden of urban sprawl, really, of growing out too far too soon.
CTA, a major architecture and engineering firm invested in the Flathead Valley, sees an opportunity to develop while also using cleaner energy.
There's a lot of opportunity for sustainable energy, and we feel we're on the leading edge and continue to promote it as best we can.
Reporting in Kalispell, Jack Ginsburg, MTN News.
The city of Kalispell is growing at one of the fastest population rates in Montana, according to the data from the U.S. Census Bureau. And our other top story, that glorious rain that fell briefly from the skies in Kalispell and around our area today. Chief Meteorologist Aaron Yost lets us know how much precipitation we got, if we'll see any more. Aaron?
It wasn't a whole lot, but at this point we will take whatever we can get. There is more headed our way as well. Now that we're sitting behind the passage of a cold front from earlier this morning, we're now starting to see some instability pop, a couple of thunderstorms. Some of those just to the south of us a short while ago, tracking off towards the east. We're not out of the woods yet, although a lot of the activity will remain more to the south of us. We could still see a couple more thunderstorms here by the end of the evening. Isolated chance for us. Then we're back to the same old, same old. We've got more high pressure set to move in. All those details coming up in your forecast.
Thanks, Aaron. There's new information line available for the Gibraltar Ridge fire burning in Lincoln County near Eureka. The most recent reports issued reveal the fire is 52% contained, and so far this lightning-sparked fire has burned 3,624 acres. The new phone number to call for information is 406-272-2082. A Type 3 management team took over battling this fire earlier in the week. Pre-evacuation statuses have not changed this week. Those are listed on our website. The Lolo Peak fire grew to more than 34,100 acres yesterday, prompting new mandatory evacuations near Florence. We have those also on our website. And the number of structures threatened by the Lolo Peak fire has dropped to 476 from 771 earlier in the week. 2 homes have burned down, though, along with some structures. Tonight's containment is listed at 14%. The 2 men with the ultimate responsibility for protecting federal public land say better forest management is the key to stopping Montana's annual cycle of devastating fires. Those comments came this morning as 2 members of President Donald Trump's cabinet visited the Lolo Peak fire. Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke and Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue were joined by Senator Steve Daines and Representative Greg Gianforte during the 1-hour visit, where fire operations were explained in a closed briefing. During a brief question and answer session, all 4 praised firefighters, but they said more must be done to reform how the U.S. manages its forests. They believe environmental lawsuits are blocking responsible logging practices, which could prevent fires before they happen.
That's why we're here, trying to determine how we can get ahead of this. I'm not from Montana, but I wouldn't want these kind of situations having to live with on a year in, year out basis. And we don't want the people of Montana to either.
Zinke praised the professionalism of not only federal fire crews, but local firefighters, law enforcement, and community leaders for their response to these fires. But he said the country must find a solution so we don't have these catastrophic events year after year. And in the very middle of a very long fire season, many people across the state are reflecting on how vital wildland firefighters are to the safety of our communities and asking what can be done to show thanks. Well, as MTN's Eric Clements reports, a foundation exists that does just that.
It's a job thick with inherent danger. The men and women fighting to protect homes in the line of fire risk everything to do so. Few people understand that sacrifice better than Dan and Barbara Lyon. 2 years ago, while fighting fire in Washington state, their son Daniel Jr. was critically wounded.
Our son Daniel was involved in the Twist River fire. He was the only survivor in a crash of 4. The other 3 perished, Rick, Andrew, and Tommy.
Daniel suffered burns on more than 70% of his body.
We're in a hospital in Harborview in Seattle, trying to tend to his needs and every wish that, and prayer that he would survive it.
During that time, people with the Wildland Firefighter Foundation met with the Lions. It's an organization dedicated to helping heal the physical and mental wounds suffered by firefighters in the line of duty. Founder and director Vicki Miner started the foundation
in my kitchen in 1998, I believe, and we've been giving firefighters money ever since, helping them.
The foundation had heard about what happened to Daniel and wasted no time in offering assistance. It's what they do with firefighters across the country. But it's more than financial support. It's emotional support on a personal level.
They've brought his girlfriend over when he couldn't afford to do it. I mean, things that you and I don't even think of, they have done to support and try to make his life acceptable. And it's, I like to say, you can't even put words to how much they've meant to us and what they've done for us.
The foundation did everything it could to let the Lions know there was hope.
We brought another firefighter who'd had been in an aviation crash, and 2 of the people had died.
That firefighter suffered injuries similar to Daniel's. He showed the Lions his scars.
To show them that there was hope for Daniel, that Daniel will come back.
And Dan says he is coming back.
He's looking forward to the future and knows that he has a future, which is, there was a time that he didn't think he did.
Daniel still has a long road ahead of him. He still faces many surgeries and hours of therapy. But his parents say, with support from the Wildland Firefighter Foundation, he will overcome. In Stevensville, Eric Clements, MTN News.
For more information about that foundation, you can head to our website, KAJ18.com. Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke is saying today he is recommending none of the 27 national monuments under review by the Trump administration be eliminated, but changes to boundaries that could open up federal lands to energy production remain possible. At the president's direction, Zinke earlier this year launched a review of 27 national monuments. It was a controversial move that could undo protections for millions of acres of federal land, as well as limits on oil and gas or other energy production. Zinke promised none of the sites would revert to state or private ownership, and he added public access for hunting, fishing, or grazing would be maintained or even expanded. The president acted on complaints that a century-old law had been misused to create oversized monuments that hinder energy development, logging, and other uses. Zinke is in Montana today, but we were not given the chance to interview him about this decision. In other state news tonight, a set of bizarre circumstances spark a wildfire near Great Falls that burned about 40 acres. This fire was located north of the Missouri River along the Rainbow Dam Road. It was apparently caused by a hawk carrying a bull snake in its talons. Take a look at this video. Here's what's left of the hawk and the snake. The Black Eagle Fire Department says the investigation determined this hawk had just caught the snake, and as the snake struggled to break free, it touched a nearby power line, and that sparked, sending a current through both of the animals, killing them. No buildings were burned, but several utility poles were damaged. Multiple fire departments responded and were able to put out the flames within about an hour. Biologists are on alert after a bunch of dead fish were found in the Yellowstone River this week. Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks officials say test results won't be back until next week. But authorities are concerned it could be similar to last summer when a microscopic parasite killed thousands of whitefish and suckers in that same river. Fisheries manager Travis Horton says right now there's not enough info to determine if the fish deaths are disease-related. FWP staff floated downstream from Livingston this week. They counted a total of 75 dead mountain whitefish, 2 dead suckers, and 1 dead brown trout. Last summer's outbreak of a kidney disease led to an emergency closure of the Yellowstone and its tributaries. In other news tonight, the Montana Public Service Commission gives the green light for a second app-based ride-sharing company to operate in Montana. The PSC voted 4-1 today to approve the license of Lyft, which uses independent contractors that are paid a set amount for each ride they give. The drivers use their own cars. They are subject to safety checks. A similar license was granted to Uber in December of 2015 after changes to state law earlier that year paved the way for these kinds of companies to operate in Montana. Commissioner Bob Lake of Hamilton was the lone dissenting vote. The approval of Lyft's license is effective immediately and allows the company to begin operation right away. And coming up on KAJ, Aaron lets you know if we'll see any more rain this week in the Flathead. Sounds like we will. Plus find out what the winner of the Powerball jackpot told her boss right after claiming the prize. And a nonprofit is helping spread the magic of music. That story after the break on KAJ.